So what do you think of AEW, right? I mean, they've brought in a lot of veterans as well. And I mean, you see guys like Sting and Arn Anderson and things over there. Like, what do you think of that product? Have you talked to anybody over there?
I talked to Arn Anderson. You know what really perplexed me, Nick, about Arn Anderson? When I was working WCW, when
Okay.
I was first there, when I met Arn in 83, we always got along. I never traveled with him. He traveled with Flair. They had their deal. I traveled with other guys. Not a problem. But at TV time come, it was Terry Taylor and Arn and everything. He was always standing up for me, always liked me, this, and that. Now, granted, I haven't spoke to the man in 20 years. Why? I haven't had his number. There's no reason in this wrestling business to sometimes you don't keep in touch. They say it's not a team sport like the NFL. I hate to say that because I've been in team sports, and my favorite line is, if you want a friend in the wrestling business, buy a dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they'll love you.
I'm just shooting here with you, but I don't understand Arn. He didn't return my phone calls right away, and he gave me a safe answer. I mentioned your name to Cody, and he'll get back. He probably didn't, but I'm looking at what you've got there, and there's a place for me there. Not to wrestle, but to teach ideas in the background. Do I need a tryout? Nick, do I need a tryout? Do you need to look at my resume? Do you need to go ask Dean Malenko if I'm a solid worker? Am I a shit disturber or this? It's a shame. And their protocol and their design and everything about them, I love, because there's a lot of wrestling there. A lot of tag teams. I mean, but that's up to them. What I did notice, and maybe it's just me, I've noticed a couple of mistakes I watch when I watch their show, and I'm saying, I wonder why the guys in the back don't say nothing. Maybe they have, or maybe they're afraid to. But if I'm back there and they're asking me to help this product better, first of all, I'm going to say, hey, a little bit less ha-ha and gaga outside the ring. The wrestling is inside the ring. Now, I'm new school and old school. There's nothing wrong with moonsaults, doing all that, but not every match. You're spoiling the fans. The only people that see it is ringside. And then the death-defying finishes, you're hitting me with 5 or 6 and then beat me with a small package. Makes no sense.
Yeah.
Psychology-wise. And my biggest gripe is, old school, there's verbiage in the ring when you call a spot or whatever, Nick, and one of them is called 1-2. Basically, 1-2 means I hit you, you hit me. I hit you, you hit me. It's called 1-2.
Okay.
Nick, I bet you every other match calls that spot. The girls do it. The tag does it. Watch them. Watch them this week. Watch them next week. You're going to see it. You got to stop that shit, guys. It's too much. It's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I do commentary sometimes on the indies, and I did have an experience recently where I called 3 matches in a row where that spot happened in the middle of every single match. It was.
See, here's the thing. A good worker, a good versatile worker could work around that. And I'm going to say, I mean, there's a lot of them, but I come up to you, hey, I can't take that move. Okay, I'll give you another one. I'll be there all night. I will accommodate you. I'm not a limited worker. I don't know clothesline, punch, and kick. I know about 55,000 things. Okay, so you could change things up. And that 1-2, come on, guys, you could do something else. Get creative. Somebody needs to correct that. I would correct it. And it's not being mean. It's called doing my job and corrective criticism. There's nothing wrong with it. I've been told by agents, Tony Gurria, Grizz Smith, Georgie Animal Steel, the list goes on that. They corrected different things of mine, and they were right. And I cleaned them up. And I'm glad, because I think about that. I don't overthink. Bob Backlund told me this once. When you're a worker and you get in that ring, you don't want to overthink. You don't want to underthink. You got to keep it in the middle. Do you know how hard it is to keep it in the middle, Nick? You really got to think about it, work hard, think about it before your match. And then I would go like on the drive home or the plane ride home. I'd go over my match in my head. Just, again, maybe people think that are obsessive, or I think it improves your craft. I do it with my training methods, my diet methods. Guess what? It works for Barry, and Barry's sticking with it. I don't care what other people think. They don't pay my bills. They don't have my family. They don't have anything. So let me be, because I've seen other guys that had issues, and you wind up like Chris Adams.
One of the things we've talked about the different relationships you've had with wrestlers and like the respect they had for you, right? Like it sounds like some people really didn't have respect for the role, but others really did. One thing I've heard is that people that did enhancement talent well would sometimes get tipped out by wrestlers. Is that true? Did you ever get tipped out by wrestlers for making them look particularly good?
Wow. I think this only may be the first or second time this question was asked to me, and I was thinking about it lately because I'm going back to a building in July. I'll get to that in a minute, but yes, I have been tipped out, and let me just try to remember. And it was multiple times from the same two: Don Morocco, Roddy Piper.
Really?
Tipped out at TV in Allentown, PA, when Vince Sr. was there, and Hamburg, Pennsylvania, which I have not been to that building since I was 21. I'll be there in July for a meet and greet. The same building, the lighting that is there, Vince Sr. paid for, is still up.
Oh, wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. And Allentown, I've been back for Vince, multiple independent groups, but Hamburg Fieldhouse, I've never been back there. So this is crazy. It's going to be, I got to see this building. I mean, I was 21 when I was there, but that's where those two buildings, I was tipped out by Piper and Morocco. And I was only 21. I was only there. I stayed with Vince Sr. for a year and a half. But I didn't know what was going on. I didn't understand. And then people explained it to me, and I felt, to this day, I feel like, wow, I really did my job right, so to speak.
Wow, that's awesome, man.
Yep.
I'm surprised nobody's ever brought that up to you before, because it's one of those things that I just always heard about, You know
why? Not too many people know about that. That is super old school. Maybe people don't want to bring it up. I think you're the first. If you're not, it's maybe the second time, and that's it. Not too many people bring that up, so props to you, Nick. Props.
Thank you very much. Well, on the other side, yes, right? Pat myself on the back.
There you go.
Did a good thing.
There you go. I won't sue you for gimmick infringement.
Thank you. Please don't. I want to, before I get to my last two questions, I want to go to the other side of the spectrum. You brought up Ultimate Warrior. Warrior is such a topic of conversation right now with the documentaries that have just come out about him. What was it like to work with Warrior from your perspective, Barry?
Okay, when I first met the Dingo Warrior, when I first worked with him at the Old Keel Auditorium in St. Louis, made famous by Flair, Bob Geigel, Harley Race. This is a mecca building. I don't know if it's there anymore. They have a new one. He was polite. He listened. He was nervous. He was stiff. He was talking to me after the match. I thought he was respectful. And then as that Warrior thing grew, and he's hanging around with Dynamite and Davey Boy and other people, and making too much too soon in the wrestling business is not good. It creates a monster that can't work. And he got disrespectful. He didn't like the locker room. He didn't like the business. He liked to have roid rages at diners. I was there. I'm calling it like it is. I seen him hurt people. My biggest memory, and I'll never forget this I think it was somewhere in Indiana, Brian Costello. He's a friend of mine. He runs unbelievable shows in Mishawaka for 20 years. He worked for Vince, and that stupid Warrior clotheslined him in the face. It knocked him out. Brian came back and collapsed by, those things you see on TV when they carried the equipment for TV. They're the big aluminum things on wheels, and it says TV. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
cameras and stuff. Yes, production. Thank you. Well, he was leaning behind it, and Tony Gurria was, "Are you all right? Are you all right?" And I felt bad for it. And Warrior walked by and looked at him and shook his head and kept on walking. Like, you piece of crap.
Wow.
And he was stiff in the ring, but I knew how to work around that. That didn't bother me. I don't give a crap. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like him. And I watched some of his YouTube. I don't know where this dude's coming from. Maybe too much acid or black heroin. But, dude, listen, I'm going to show you a good worker. It's just like a good movie actor, Tom Cruise or DiCaprio. Barry Horowitz, Mr. Technical, when he gets off the plane and he gets to the building, that's who he is. When I get back to my family, I'm Barry Horowitz. Separate the two. Don't tell me you have to live your friggin' gimmick. You don't have to. A good worker could separate them, and that makes a friggin' artist.
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's coming off with these stupid things, and every time he talks, he acts like he's angry at people. I don't know what his deal is. Can you not talk like just normal? And then to knock Hulk Hogan, who in the fuck are you, Jim Hellwig? You're a smartened up bodybuilder. That's what you are. You're a dime a dozen. In today's world, in Japan, you'd be sent home that night. And if you want to get with bodies and work, Batista blew your ass away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Batista's a very nice man. He has opinions that I agree with far more than Jim Hellwig's. I'll put it that way.
Had a hell of a run, Batista. Looks good. His intro was good. He was limited, but he was way better than Warrior. At least I saw the man arm drag and drop kick, and he's doing well in Hollywood. So props to him.
Yes.
I don't even know him.
Another one for Warrior. All right, I got 2 questions left for you, Barry. And then you've given me a little more time than I asked for. I thank you very, very much. I just wanted to follow up on the Enhancement Talent Hall of Fame thing. I'll ask you the question that I think is the question a lot of journalists would phrase it. Who's on your Mount Rushmore of enhancement talents? Who's your 4 that you put up on your Rushmore of enhancement talents, Barry?
Wow. I don't want to slight nobody. Yeah, I really. I mean, shoot. I would put Reno Riggins up there. I would put Brady Boone. There's a kid named Ben Jordan out of Nashville. He only got, to the Memphis territory. There's not. I'm sorry, but there's not a lot. I mean, Dwayne Gill, of course, Barry Hardy. These guys, there's not a lot of good, qualified enhancement.
Yeah.
And really, I don't like putting myself over, but nobody does. I really think I was the best.
Barry, I think if people opened up the dictionary.
From top to bottom.
I think if you opened up the dictionary and you saw enhancement talent and they saw you there, I don't think anybody would bat an eye, Barry. I really don't think you're out of school putting yourself in that position. And you just when I talk to people about you, Barry, it's always a very warm feeling. People are always very happy to talk about you or remember you, and you brought so much to those moments. So, what are you up to now, Barry? Talk to everybody out there about what you're doing these days and where they can find you and all other things. Yeah.
I'm still a certified nutritionist. I do that here and there. My big thing is the meet and greets and the seminars. My biggest thing would be a coach at some form of either, Ring of Honor, of course, the WWE, of course, and of course, All Elite, the NWA. We won't throw out the name. I don't even know. Impact. Yeah. Well, my motto is you can't return a phone call, you can't pay me. So shame on you, Scott D'Amore, because I worked for you many times, and the man can't return a phone call because he's that busy. I don't know people that busy. I really don't. That's funny. The executive from the WWE could call me or text me, and he's busy for real. So don't give me that sad excuses. But and I'm big on Cameo.com, YouTube. Also Facebook, also the WWE, ProWrestlingTees.com. But Cameo is really doing well for me. And once again, here we go, Nick. I treat it like I did the business. I get a cameo for, let's say, a minute or two. I just don't go in there and I prepare. It's a minute, but I think about the pro. I think about how I look. Guess what? It must be working because every one of my cameos for the last 2 years is 5 stars. Why? I give the customer, the fan, what they want. I don't ad lib or anything. I give them what they want, and they respect me for that. And the smart marks know who's control and know who could work and who couldn't work. The other ones are just dumbasses.